The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, projects over 5% expansion for the Philippine economy this year. The multilateral lender earlier forecast a 4.8% growth for the country in 2012. In a briefing in Malacanang, IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde also lauded the Philippine government for the country's economic growth despite the global financial crisis. Here's Elena Luna.
In excise taxes to telecoms.
International Monetary Fund Chief Christine Lagarde Aquino administration's economic reforms as she visits Manila. In a press briefing at Malacanang, Lagarde mentioned how the Philippines kept afloat while most of the countries are experiencing financial crisis.
I congratulated the Filipino authorities for their excellent economic stewardship during difficult times. In the last decade, the Philippines have managed to have an average growth of about 5%, and you will be interested to know that this year, 2012, at a very difficult time because of the financial crisis in other parts of the world, the Philippines is probably the only country of which we have increased the growth forecast as opposed to other places in the world where we actually decreased our forecast. And I know that the growth in 2012 will be way in excess of 5%. And we're certainly looking forward to 2013 being in the range of 5% as well. And this is due in no little part to the excellent policy mix deployed both by Finance and the Central Bank of the Philippines, and a combination of sound fiscal policy as well as sound monetary policy.
She expressed support to the administration's economic reforms, mentioning the similarity of the Aquino administration and the IMF in seeing to it that no one is left behind.
We share the government's view that growth must benefit the broader section of population. We certainly have research that demonstrate that inclusive growth is more sustainable, and it is really to the credit of this government to make sure that growth is as inclusive as possible and that inequalities can be reduced. It is no secret to you that about 42% of the large population of the Philippines is living on less than $2 a day, and all the efforts, including the cash transfer programs under your stewardship, are trying to reduce those inequalities that clearly hamper sustainable growth in the long term.
Finance Secretary Cesar Purisima says the IMF has long been a partner of the Philippines. They share their expertise with the Bureau of Internal Revenue and is ready to help in the implementation of the Bangsamoro Framework Agreement.
As you know, the Philippines and IMF have been long-time partners in development. Over the 44 years before 2006, the Philippines was a major customer of the IMF. But since then, the Philippines is now a creditor, a small creditor of the IMF, but more importantly, a partner in building institutions. In the BIR, for example, we have an IMF advisor helping us develop our information systems to make sure that we become more efficient in collecting taxes. At the same time, we look forward to working with the IMF, for example, in building institutions in Mindanao as we implement the peace agreement. Will hopefully be signed within the next few months after the signing of the framework agreement.
The IMF is very, very pleased for the historical partnership that we've had, but particularly pleased that it is now taking the form of a creditors relationship, and one where clearly we will be doing everything we can to support with technical assistance the effort of the Philippine authorities to extend growth throughout the country in all its diversity and to the far end of the country where peace is now hopefully returning.
Lagarde is the first woman to head the IMF. Her visit to Manila is part of her Southeast Asian tour. For the People's Television, Elena Luna.